Welcome in, Braves Today podcast, Braves underscore today on Twitter. He is Lindsay Crosby. I am Ben Taylor. And Lindsay, forget best in baseball. This Braves team could be the best in franchise history if they close hard headed into the All-Star break. I did put a caveat in there.
Yeah, no, still, I mean, this is a very, very good Atlanta Braves team. 53-27. The Marlins game on Friday is after that, you're halfway through the season. So to have such a great record, I mean, unlike previous years, you're going to go into the All-Star break with a winning record, knock on wood. You're not going to be chasing from behind. And getting 3 games against the team that's behind you in the standings gives you a very good opportunity to either put some distance and close the division out or let it be a lot closer as you head into the All-Star break. And it's hard to imagine this team losing right now. I mean, they're hitting literally on all cylinders.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a chat in regards to our last pod where I've jumped in there with a couple of listeners, and that was one thing that they had brought up is they're worried about Soroka, and I thought I told them, I said, this is a perfect time to bring him back because a team that is hot usually will rally around a team that's doing a rehab start or a bounce back start or a start when they've been pulled up from AAA. And the reason being is just because everything they see looks like a grapefruit. So those are the guys that you want to pitch behind, and that gives the pitcher a little bit of confidence. Now, I'm not in any way saying that Soroka's going to go out and throw a no-hitter, on the opening game against the Marlins. But I will say he's coming in at the right time, the way this Braves team is playing, to get some support.
Yeah. After that Twin series, some of the pitchers said, having that kind of offense behind you where they can put up 5 home runs before there's 5 outs thrown by Joe Ryan. They admitted that it makes you pitch a little looser. You're a little more comfortable, and you don't have to be as nervous about being perfect with every pitch. And I think for a guy like Soroka that physically has gotten back to the shape he was in or before the injury, but mentally hasn't seen the results and is still trying to work on fine-tuning the things, like you said, I think this is the perfect time because he doesn't have to come out and be perfect. He can just go out and throw. He can just go out there and pitch and not worry about if he makes a mistake, just erase it, go on to the next one, because the odds are this team's going to pick him up, the offense is going to pick him up, and he'll be playing from ahead anyway. So, like you said, this is the perfect time to bring up a Mike Soroka. And if Michael Soroka does make his debut on Friday night, it's not official yet. Everything's pointing towards it. But if he does, it'll be, I believe it was 1,060 days since he last took a start at Truist Park. And it's going to be a great day just for all of us that he's there. I'm predicting it's going to be the loudest ovation you've heard in that ballpark's history.
And you will be there as well. Go ahead and throw that out there. I got to be sitting in the stands along with our esteemed leader. Zach Blackerby will also be there as well. Happy birthday to you, Zach. By the time everybody go give Zach a shout out. Happy birthday. He's probably going to be so mad that I just threw that out there.
On Twitter, at Z Blackerby.
Yeah. He's not going to be as mad as he is at you for throwing that out there. But we mentioned offense and we mentioned Soroka, but defensively, Acuna with plays out in the field. Rosario, he came in and made a diving play in left. Riley getting better over at third base. I mean, I think he never really was bad. He just got, I think, a bad rap because of hard balls hit to him and he may make a bad throw or just bobble it a little bit, which from third, you bobble it just a tad and they're going to beat it out. And then you got the play of probably the week thus far was up the middle when Ozzie flipped Arcia and then they ended up getting the out at first.
It's your standard 6-4-3 or 4-6-3 put out. It's not even a double play, just a put out.
Just to put out, and I actually I screen grabbed that and I sent it to my dad because, of course, he's blacked out because of the way they have coverage from time to time, and he even for me to get a wow out of him, a guy that's a former baseball coach and somebody that's not very impressed with Major League Baseball ever, when he said that, I thought, yep, that must be a pretty good play then if he's impressed with it. So defensively, they're where they need to be. Offensively, they're where they need to be. Was there ever a doubt in this past Twin series, sweep related, of course, is they just, for some reason, the Braves looked like they were in control from opening game until the final out whenever it took place.
And it's funny because like game 3, tons of home runs, right? I mean, Atlanta goes back-to-back in the second inning. Ronnie hits one on the first pitch of the game. But like the first game of the series is a closer matchup. And it's still just, it always felt like Atlanta was going to do it. And having that kind of like, I don't think we all appreciate and recognize how good we have it as Braves fans, because we have this core long term that's going to be there. Like, you don't have a fear about buying a jersey because the guy's going to be there. Yeah. You have a team that offensively can come back in just about any single game and is all, as long as there's outs left, they are in that game. And you have a pitching staff that, even if you have a bad outing, one, the offense will pick you up, but then two, there's going to be another guy coming right behind you who's going to be good and giving quality stuff. You lose a Kyle Wright and a Max Fried, well, guess what? Bryce Elder goes out and leads the league in ERA. Spencer Strider's best strikeout rate and number of strikeouts in all of baseball. Like, it's just, Braves fans, we're exceptionally lucky. I don't think we always realize how lucky we are.
We're doing that, as we mentioned on the last pod, without a full staff right now. So whenever the staff gets back, you kind of wonder on what all cylinders will be clicking at that point in time. Has this proved even more and throughout this past series and even the series before? Well, the last three series, because they haven't lost a series, and except for that A series, which was in May, and so that's the last one that they lost. Has this proved even more that the Atlanta Braves are the team to beat in baseball?
They are the hottest team in baseball right now. I think record-wise, like, the Rays are 56-28. Like, they're near, the Rangers have a run differential that's right there near where Atlanta is and stuff like that. But even though the Rays have 3 more wins, Atlanta is by far the hottest team in baseball and the best team in baseball. And I think World Series favorites, the Atlanta Braves have to be the favorites in all of baseball, and that's the team that nobody wants to face right now. And what I love is, yes, you're 3 games behind the Rays as far as best record in baseball, but right before the All-Star break, you get to play them. And so it's the same thing as if you're trying to make space in the division. Every time you win a game, it counts a double. Same thing when you're playing the team that has the better record than you. Every time you win a game against them, it's going to count double. And so it's best team in baseball, bar none, whether it's pitching, whether it's offense, whether it's defense. I think right now Atlanta has everything.
What was supposed to be an easy June turned out not to be, because other teams started winning. So it became a tougher June. However, on the opposite end of that, it looks like it's going to be a tough July for the Braves. And a lot of that's got to do because it's front end loaded. There is a small break right there. But then when you start beginning divisional play, you just never know. All cards are on the deck at that point in time.
Yeah. So you have this 3-game series against Miami. You've got Cleveland. You've got Tampa Bay. And then All-Star break. And the way that it's shaping up, not every Braves player is going to get to be off at the All-Star game. It looks like you might have 3 of the 4 starting infielders might be Atlanta Braves. And, and you might have 2 members of your rotation there in Strider and Elder. And so you have to kind of work around that. And then coming out of the break, you do get to ease back into it with the Chicago White Sox. But then right after that, you host Arizona for 3 games, who leading the National League West. You go to Milwaukee, you go to Boston, then you play Milwaukee again, which is really weird. But yeah, it's just like, it's not as easy of a schedule as we thought June was going to be, because we thought Philly was going to have a losing record. We thought Cincinnati was going to have a losing record, and those turned out to be a little bit tougher games than you expected. You went to extras against Philly. You dropped 1 against Cincinnati. All 3 of those were one-run games, but you still came out of it. I think you're 9-1 your last 10 games. Yeah. You've won you won most of those in June, and you're now primed to make this run to the All-Star game and then take a break for a couple of days. Most of the guys.
It truly did turn out to be Michael Harris Jr. We predicted at the beginning. He took off, started a little slow at the first couple of days of June, but after that, he has been something to reckon with multiple hit games, a 5-for-5 game, a 3-for-3 game, a 4-for-4 game. I mean, it's just been so impressive what what Michael Harris Jr. has done from the plate.
Yeah, we had a stat, and I'm trying to find the exact stat, but we had a thing in one of the briefings about Michael Harris is the first player to have 3 games in a month where he went, I think it was 4-for-4 or better since Ted Williams.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's kind of insane. When you look at the age, and anytime you're compared to Ted Williams, it's great. But let me the stats for Michael Harris for the entire month, understanding that he didn't really start his hot streak to the 2nd game of the Mets series, so the 6th, but on the month, he batted .378, .394, .633 with 5 home runs, 12 extra base hits, and he only struck out 12 times. Michael Harris Jr. for sure.
Yes. He completely proved that he was the guy of the month. They all had a good month, but apparently his just stuck out even more. Surprise performances that we probably saw from June take Michael Harris Jr. away from it, because I think to me he was a surprise performance, as well as what we saw against the Twins this past weekend.
Yeah, I think some of the surprises that we saw in the month and then against the Twins, I want to give Eddie Rosario his flowers, because a lot of people think that Eddie Rosario is really just kind of confined to a platoon role, doesn't do well, like against lefties. He's not usually the starter, but you could see how hot his bat was and how much they wanted to get him into the game, to the point of the one game he didn't start in that stretch. As soon as they went to the bullpen, Eddie was a pinch hitter in the game. It was like the 5th or 6th inning. And against lefties, which is the thing that we like, oh, Eddie can't hit lefties. Against lefties, he's batting 400 on the year. Now, it's only 30 at-bats, but it's something where even when he is in that situation, he's still red hot. And he's turned it on to another level. We had some stuff on the site about, is Eddie Rosario, is he good enough? Can we win with him in left field, and should we upgrade left field? No, he's good enough. You don't have to upgrade anything. He's batting 270 on the year with a slugging of 500, and that's not anything that we saw coming a month ago from Eddie Rosario.
Now we turn the page, turn the table. Welcome to Atlanta, Miami, and Marlins, who also not the hottest of teams, but still the wins outweigh the losses by far. They're in second. They're 6+ games back, depending on what they do against Boston. Could be 6 games back, could be 7 games back before it's all said and done with. But they could completely turn their season around if they come in and give the Braves something to fight for.
Yeah, they have a lot of guys back from injury right now. Joey Wendell is back playing shortstop, solidifies that for them a bit. Jazz Chisholm is back in center field, which means that Jorge Soler can kind of go back to that DH role versus playing in the field. So you're in a scenario, Jorge Soler has more than 20 home runs. Jazz Chisholm is going to be stealing bases and doing Jazz Chisholm things. You have to deal with Luis Ariz and the fact that he almost never strikes out. And so, you've got a hitter batting almost 400. You've got a big home run threat. You've got a dynamic power speed guy in Chisholm. You can't look past the Miami Marlins. And to top it off, you've got 2 really good pitchers in this series. I'm not saying another opponent stacked their rotation for Atlanta, but it kind of feels like another opponent stacked their rotation for Atlanta. You have Yuri Perez, the 20-year-old marvel, going on Saturday, and then you have last year's reigning Cy Young winner, Sandy Alcantara, on Sunday. And I know that he's not the same Sandy that he was last year, but he still is formidable. And you've got these guys in games 2 and 3. It's definitely going to be an interesting and tough matchup for Atlanta.
Again, it's not completely official. We think Soroka's going to get the on the bump for the Braves. The Braves, no, they're not slacking by any means as far as who they're throwing out there, following that up with Morton and then Strider. So a pitching matchup. The only thing that worries me, and I'm going to say 2 of 3, Lindsay. However, I still worry about that it may not be 1 of 3. And I only say that because the Marlins are always a thorn in the Braves side. It started, I'll never forget, I was so happy when the Braves acquired Dan Uggla, because I was like, that guy was a Braves killer. Like that, every time we seemed like we had victory in hand, he would go and grab victory for the Marlins out of the jaws of defeat and beat the Braves. And then we got him, and then he didn't do anything for the Braves.
Well,
but
I was going to say he continued being a Braves killer when he got to the Braves. He continued being a Braves killer.
Yeah, he stayed Braves killer. But ever since then, the Marlins have just always been a thorn in the Braves side. So I say 2 of 3. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know if that's the – I'm not saying that that's a Soroka loss. I'm not so sure that Morton's going to have a great day. And then Strider has looked so well as of late. Does he get a little tired as we make our way to the end of the series? I don't know. So I do say 2 of 3 just because they've done so well in the month of June as far as winning series are concerned.
Yeah. I'm saying 2 out of 3 as well, simply because I'm not necessarily going to blame any certain Braves pitcher, but I do think that a lot of Braves fans maybe underestimate how good Yuri Perez is. And I think in a typical year where one, he gets up early, and then you don't have a Corbin Carroll with Arizona, and you don't have an Ellie De La Cruz in Cincinnati, Yuri Perez is the story of the National League Rookie of the Year race. Right now, 5-1 with a 1.34 ERA. I mean, it's a big enough sample size where you have to treat it honestly. And so I'm saying 2-1 as well. And if Atlanta drops a game, I think it could be that Saturday game. Obviously, I hope not, but that's my thought process there.
Perez reminds me a little bit record-wise of looking at somebody like an Elder, where it's the ERA is low, the win percentage is high, only one loss on the season. Not somebody that you're going to hang your hat on as being our star pitcher. However, at the end of the day, he walks away with wins. So you got to be careful when you face somebody like that.
Yeah. The difference between him and Elders, he does have a little bit more strikeout stuff. And so he is going to get plenty of swings and misses. I mean, he's got like 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. But it's just something where he allows less than one base runner an inning. So he keeps clean innings. The trick there is going to be get to him early and often, make him work out of the stretch, make him labor through innings and knock him out of the game early. Because I don't think Miami has the bullpen to hang with Atlanta in a 3-game series. The issue, because we know Sandy can do it, the issue is you have to get into that bullpen first. So Friday night is going to be crucial to that. If you can knock out Brian Hoeing rather early on Friday, you can wear that bullpen down so that they can't use it on Saturday and Sunday.
Hit the subscribe button. He's Lindsay Crosby. I'm Ben Taylor. Braves Today podcast, Braves_today on the Twitter. Lindsay, as always, thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Chop on.